Welcome back to another episode of NFT Catcher Podcast. We'd like to remind everybody that nothing on the show is meant as financial advice, and to please do your own research. Thank you, and enjoy the show.
Now the subject is NFTs.
They're known as non-fungible tokens, or NFTs.
NFTs are exploding in popularity.
This is a technology that will forever change the way people interact.
So it is happening whether you understand it and like it or not.
This phenomenon is moving. The digital.
You have now joined Jenny from the blockchain and Michael Keene on the NFT Catcher Podcast.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast with me, Jenny from the blockchain, and my co-host, Michael Keene. For today's interview, we have Matthew, aka Niftytime, joining us. He is the creative lead at Nifty Gateway and co-host of the Matthew and Rizzle show, along with a bunch of other things. But we actually had Rizzle on recently, and so excited to have Matthew on as well. Matthew, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yay. Yeah. It's always fun having fellow podcasters on too, because it's like, I don't know. It's like, there's not that many of us Web3 podcasters, so it's always a vibe. Oh yeah. And right before recording this, let this be known. Matthew said he listened to Rizzle's episode, Let the Record Show. So I feel like you're going to know more of, I already forgot what we even asked him, and I'm sure Michael did too. So yeah, I hope we don't ask the same questions. But you know, we might.
You threw the kitchen sink and everything at him. There was like a ton of questions. I found out a lot about Rizzle, and I've known that dude for like going on 7 years at this point.
Oh,
wow.
Okay.
That was a good one. We had a lot of fun, and that was a good vibe there. That was a really good interview. He's a good dude. Isn't Rizzle Fest is not coming up like real soon or something?
Yeah. Like the 4th of August, or not August, October. So
okay.
we still got like a couple months out, but you know, crypto's not ridiculous. So.
Hell yeah. So you're in, are you saying where you are to people because you're in an interesting location?
Oh yeah. Like I split my time between Korea and the US. I moved,
okay.
I'm originally from Philly, like I mentioned at the beginning, but
yeah, hell yeah.
When I go back, I'm in Portland, Oregon for the most part. But for the summer, I've been in Seoul. So
yeah, that's amazing. So I've not been to Korea. I've been to Japan. I spent a few weeks in Japan, but Korea, I mean, it seems amazing. I don't know if you want to. It's like really the most technologically advanced city in the world. Seoul is from what I hear. What's your reasoning for being out there? What do you like about it?
Oh, well, actually, I went out here for university way back in the day. So went to university here, graduated, worked at Samsung for about 10 years. And it's just, like you were saying, it's an amazing country. Technologically, culturally, the cuisine here is to die for. It is just the best food, in my personal opinion. Mm-hmm. What Japan is too. And like the proximity to Japan and then Southeast Asia, it just makes it such a great place to live. Like infrastructure is incredible. Taxes aren't crazy. And you see what you like pay for with your taxes in this country, which is always a bonus. Incredibly safe too. So like a great place to bring family, raise kids and all that good stuff. So yeah,
good for you, man. On and on. Man. Yeah, that's awesome. And the dollar goes pretty far there too, doesn't it?
Yeah. Especially these days. Good bang for your buck, and things aren't like outrageously priced to begin with. And then doesn't have a tipping culture. So yeah, that also helps.
Now
here.
in the US now, every time you could go to like a self-checkout and the thing will be like, how much tip do you want to have? You're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's outrageous.
Yeah, it is. That's so funny.
And then out of guilt, we're like, oh, well, we just have to tip a little something.
Well, one time I hit no tip. My kids are with me and the person literally did nothing. And one of my daughters was like, you didn't tip? I was like, I didn't do it.
Called out.
Like, you're shaming me, a 7-year-old girl. I'm like, oh my God. It's crazy. And I think they could see it on the screen too. Like in front of you, whatever you hit, they can like see it.
I'm always curious, like after you know, if you've clicked no tip or if you clicked, like, can they see exactly what you did? Like,
right.
I'm sure they probably can.
Some people try to be courteous and like walk away to let you know in privacy. It's crazy. It's a crazy thing. It's kind of new with the iPads. With the
iPads, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I was wondering, wait, okay, before we pivot off of Korea, did you learn the language?
Yeah. So before I entered the university over here, I had actually only planned after graduating high school to come over here for a year to study the language. So I went to like a language institute for a year, and then I was like, all right, if I go back to America, like this year is literally going to be for naught. Like, when am I ever going to speak Korean again? So like wanting to retain that year of language that I had already studied and put the time in for. Then, like, I was also looking at the university situation over here, and tuition is incredibly reasonable. University quality is also quite high, like a lot of very smart folks in this part of the world. And at the time, a lot of those universities were like trying to attract a lot of international students because, like, the US News, like global college rankings, one of the metrics that they look at, especially universities for to like grade universities, is the population of international students. So being super competitive, Korean universities were like throwing full scholarships and like living stipends at international students that like met the requirements to enter. So I was like, oh shit, let's see what, if I just go to university here instead of getting into lifelong debt in the States, going to university. So I applied, got accepted, and free ride, living stipends. So I was like, yeah, let's go.
That is so awesome. Wow. That's really cool. Who knew I didn't even know you could do that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a good hat.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many like travel hacks and like, are people surprised like when they hear you speaking Korean?
Yeah. You always get like people looking back like, what? Or like surprised, like, oh, I thought I would have to speak English and be very like hard-pressed. So like, it's all good. It's okay. Yeah. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Are you into a K-pop? You get big into K-pop?
No, not the K-pop side. More like weird 80s ballads and like Korean hip hop from the 90s. Yeah. That's sort of what drew me in. Yeah. I had some friends back in the day, like middle school. They were international students studying in America from Korea, and they brought like DJ DOC and Tiger JK, Drunken Tiger, like those folks, that music over here. I'm like, holy shit, that's really cool in a language that I don't speak. I want to learn. Right. And that was sort of like why I wanted to learn Korean in the first place too.
Wow. So it all started in middle school. That's cool.
Yeah.
It's a good, it's fun to hear how people got inspired, because sometimes it just seems so random. It's like, how did you choose that path? Why did you decide to do that? Okay. So let's get into some Web3 questions here.
Okay.
All right. So I want to hear your Web3 origin story.
Oh, okay. So that also took place in Korea, and that was when I was working at Samsung. There's a grip of like international expats that were working where I was in the construction arm of the Samsung group. And every morning we would like get together. Dunkin' Donuts was the hangout. And around 2014, 2015, that's when crypto became a pretty popular topic of conversation over coffee and donuts. And Bitcoin itself was never like fundamentally attractive to me. Like just pure speculation at that time wasn't like something that really like energized me. But 2015, one of my other buddies, Jason French, he was like, dude, have you heard about Ethereum smart contracts? And I'm like, what is this? And sort of like that, the smart contracts, the programmable money side of crypto really piqued my interest. Went down the proverbial crypto rabbit hole at that point. The podcasts that were available at the time, tried to listen and read whatever I could. And then, started buying the end of 2015. So like when ETH was like $8, $7. Yeah, it was pretty early. But like the part of crypto and Ethereum in particular that excited me wasn't just like, all right, got a bunch of ETH. That's it. It was always like, okay, I got ETH. Now what? How can I use this? And for like the next 2 years from there, I was trying to figure out like ways to use ETH and like how to activate it basically. So fast forward to 2017, the middle of 2017, in that summer, like August, there's a project called Cent that launched on mainnet. And at the time I was just a user. And at the time, Cent itself was like a crypto powered Quora play, or like a Quora for crypto. So like you ask questions, and the crypto part was that you add a ETH denominated bounty to the question to incentivize answers. And it was something that you didn't need to be technical. You didn't need to be a dev. It was focused on like non-technical folks in the crypto ecosystem. and it had like a small number of users. And I saw, I'm like, holy shit, this is sort of what I've been looking for. Finally, I can use my ETH for something. In this case, putting bounties on questions. But then because it was so like consumer friendly or non-technical user friendly, I just was super inspired. At the time, I had like a little blog that no one read. And I immediately thought like, oh shit, I can add a bounty to my essays that no one is reading and finally get someone to read my writing. So I reached out to the then founders, Cam and Max, and was just like, I got a lot of ideas, like let me into this project, help out however I can. And they were like, all right, yeah, we need someone. And the angle of pivoting from the Quora, like ask a question with the bounty, get an answer, into something more generalized, like a blogging platform that you can add bounties to. They love the idea. So I joined the company and essentially helped them pivot to that model. Started writing every day. And yeah, that was sort of like the launch pad for everything that I've done in crypto since at that time, like that blog focused approach is what allowed a lot of the digital artists at the time who had found NFTs and had started minting their digital work, like Matt Cain and Sarah Zucker and Xcopy and Cody. All those folks were like talking about, hey, I got like my art for sale for like $100 on this place called Super Rare. Like maybe you want to check it out and buy it if you want. And yeah, that's my origin story and like how everything that I've done in crypto sort of like happened out of.
Did you buy all those X copies?
I bought a bunch of Xcopy on the known origin side. I was a cheapskate, so I had to get the editions. But
no doubt.
My big purchase on Super was back in November 2019. That was Saint Nakamoto by a lot of money in DaVinci. And it was an all-time high sale on Super at that time. And the purchase price was around $1,700. Eye-watering, some I know. But it was like, people were calling me crazy. They're like, I don't know what the fuck you're smoking. It's nothing is ever going to be worth that much. And yeah, it's just like a fun little stake in the sand to see how far we've come since then.
That's funny. That's always what people say when records are broken.
Yeah. And it was that moment in time where it's just like that piece came out. John McAfee was like, this is like a big thing back in the day. John McAfee on Twitter was like, holy shit, this is crazy. Robness and I got in a bidding war. I think Cody entered into the fray. A few other folks went back and forth. It was like insane. It was like an afternoon in Korea. I'm like, I got to do it. Like 1,700 bones. Let's do it. Got it. And it was like, oh my God, what did I do? But it ended up being one of the best things I've ever done.
Still own it?
No, ended up selling it. It ended up reselling too for about $1 million as well.
Shit. What'd you sell for? Do you mind saying, or you don't want to say it? It's on the blockchain. But I don't know.
Yeah. Ended up going for around 75K at the time.
Okay. And then at the peak was $1 million. Wow.
And then people were like, I guess this guy looks crazy.
75K is insane, right? That's still all like that's awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah, that's a great story.
The blog thing reminds me of like, were you guys ever into like Yahoo Answers? I would always go on and like answer people's questions, even though there's no like incentive to answer. So when you were talking about that, I was like, oh my God, that's so funny. That reminds me of Yahoo Answers. So then you started getting into it and kind of helping them out and working. So you were like, helping. Okay. Yeah. And then that's what inspired you guys to kind of start the podcast.
Yeah. So like my thing there, like leading the community, if you will, was to just be active and present. And that was like basically posting every day and just like commenting and all that good stuff and thinking about ways to activate the community. So I'd always been like noodling on the idea of a podcast. And before I started the podcast in the summer of 2019, I've been doing like a spotlight series, like a written, like calling up folks that were using Scent and using it for like interesting use cases, which in the beginning, there were some devs that were doing some cool things, but quickly, like it was just the artists that were doing the most interesting things and on Scent. So I would just ask them, hey, do you want to do a little interview? Get your background, what you're like keen on crypto about, blah, blah, blah. So did that for a few months, ended up having like really good just discussions that like the transcriptions were good. But I'm like, oh, maybe you got to get these conversations out there. Like this, people are excited about this tech, and it's not just the tech, it's like the culture, it's the art that was all starting to blend together. So I was like, all right, so if no one else is going to do it, I got to do it. So got a Blue Yeti, see a bunch of Blue Yeti fans over here. And just did the damn thing. At first, it was like a soliloquy. I was just like 5 minutes of like me talking about something. And then I translated that Spotlight series and was interviewing and releasing the podcast of the interviews I was doing with the users. And then Rizzle came up and he was just like, dude, I got to reverse interview you. And I'm like, all right. And then we just hit it off on our like reverse interview Spotlight podcast thing. And like, as soon as we finished recording, we just hung on the line. And we're like, that was fun. Do you want to like do this again next week and see if we can get like other folks on the show? And yeah, and we did. So we started bringing in like external guests, like the founders from Super Rare, Known Origin, Rareable, OpenSea. Like back in the day, like everyone was rubbing shoulders with one another, trying to like make something successful. So we did that. And then eventually when we started the Whip.
When did you guys start? When was that show with all
so
the
with
founders?
Rizzle, I think we did our first recording together August 2019.
2019. Oh wow, good for you guys.
Oh,
Yeah.
and we're August as well.
Oh,
We're
right.
August 2021, but that's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, something
Happy-
about August.
Happy anniversary,
5
then. That means
years.
your anniversary is
Oh
5
shit!
years.
Yeah, it's coming up the end of the month.
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, but like actually meeting Rizzle in that context, it really started to change the dynamic, because it's like, all right, we're not just like living in this little block together. We're taking it a step further. And then a few months later, at the beginning of 2020, that's when like COVID broke out. But right before COVID broke out in the States, NFTNYC was where like all the sentients, what we called their users, kind of met up IRL for the first time in New York City. And that was just like, holy crap, this is amazing. Just an explosion of creativity and just like feeling that common bonds and kind of proving out that these digital interactions and relationships that we're like setting up on the blockchain and just like digitally have really strong roots for more things to grow out of. And like that early crew, amongst them, like Comlin, this dude named No Shot, were part of that group who went on to create and found Async Art, the late Async Art at this point. They had closed their doors at the beginning of the year, but just a really, really cool time, really, really cool group of people.
That is so cool to know the history of, it's like, oh, that's why I love getting people on that have been in this space for so long. Cause it's like, I had no idea about Scent and that was such a big part of people's beginning of their journey who are like true OGs in the space.
Yeah, Scent was, especially on the art side, Scent was their additional, was like another crypto island is sort of how I think about it, that had a strong, passionate population of artists that were like dabbling in crypto and NFTs. And, just like because of the early state of the space and how quickly things moved, it was sort of like Pangea, like reverse Pangea, I guess. All these like islands coming together to form like a larger world that, all the craziness of the NFT boom and everything was able to happen on top of.
So then when did you start working for Nifty Gateway? How did that come about?
Yeah. So I think Rizzle talked about this on your episode too, indirectly. So he mentioned Avastars, the project that he worked on with Jim, that led to like NFT 42 coming out of it. That launched April 20th, 2020. And then on Scent, we had this like, it was the worst update we could have ever pushed out on that same day, April 20th, 2020. And we essentially made a product that people had loved unusable. This is a terrible, terrible misstep, but something that happens more often than not in startup lands. But because of that, I was like, oh my God. And at the beginning of 2020, I'd left my gig at Samsung, where I'd been doing double duty, working full time there, and also like community and like helping Scent grow from startup to something. I gone full time at the beginning of 2020, and then we had that disastrous update. I'm like, oh shit, probably should look for plan B if this goes off the rails in short order, because we were running out of runway at that time. So I was going around doing the interview circuit with OpenSea and Async Art, and then Nifty Gateway was also in the mix. They were like beginning of like in April 2020, they popped up on folks' radar, and they were doing things a little bit different in how they were only focusing on like a really small batch of like drops in any given month, and we're selling things out. They're doing some cool things, and met the team, super professional, very passionate on the collecting front. And yeah, the interviews were great. And I had wanted to kind of, instead of being full-time based in Korea, I wanted to have like a split living situation, and being based in the US, that gave me and my family the opportunity to go back to the US and like set up shop there effectively. So the middle of 2020, we kind of inked everything there, but because of visas and everything like that, I could only start like beginning of 2021. So that was locked and loaded. But at Cent, although the blogging side of things kind of fell off the rails, we came up with because being a scrappy startup, we're like, all right, we got to do something else, and we got to do something with NFTs. So we had a side project that we called Valuables. v.cent.co is the URL. And that was like a cheeky little tool that let folks tokenize their tweets, mint their tweets into NFTs. And at the time, there were a few other services that let people mint any tweet. Our like subtle but significant tweak was like, all right, people can bid on tweets, but only the original poster of a tweet can accept that bid. And in accepting the bid, they digitally sign their tweet. Just taking a page out of the crypto art book, and like, again, the provenance and having the artist signature on the art they mint, we just flipped it into NFTs. And it was like a little viral hit. Xcopy and Robness, like, we're going crazy on the timeline, minting tweets and all that. Eventually, Jack Dorsey sold his Genesis tweet for $2.9 million using Valuables. But yeah, that was the last of my time at Cent before jumping over to Nifty Gateway at the beginning of 2021. And then the bull market pretty much kicked off around like February proper at that time. And then Beeple sale and all that crazy stuff unfolded after that.
Okay, yes, I do remember the Jack Dorsey, that like went viral, and everyone's like, what? You can make money off of tweets? And I didn't know that was Valuables. I guess I didn't even think about what that was, but
I don't remember where that sold on. That was crazy.
That is so crazy. So now you're creative lead, it's been what, 3 years or so?
No, over 3.5 years. It's crazy.
3.5 years. Wow. What are like some of your favorite parts of working for Nifty, or what are some of your favorite things that you've done as creative lead?
I mean, obviously being able to work with artists and make a lot of artists rich, that's been like an amazing part of this. Being like, what does a producer mean? Like, we're able to work with the artists and help them as much as they want, which can include everything from like ideation and like collection concept creation with the artist, like going back and forth, spitballing ideas, like seeing what hits, and then helping them like just with the art itself, like what to include, how to edition these works, like what release mechanisms to use with them, pricing, connecting collectors with certain artworks, just doing all of that. And with each artist, everything that they do is so special and so unique that every collection, even if you're working with the same artist over and over, like I've been able to do, it's always a different experience. And it's always really special. So that's probably been like, obviously that's why I joined Nifty Gateway. And that's like always been just a bright spot of my day, being able to get on calls with them, like be on the inside as they create their new creations, and help bring it to market and connect them with a bunch of collectors, and then collect a lot along the way myself.
What are your favorite drops you've been a part of?
So yeah, a lot. But one of the big bright ones is probably Pac merch. Back in the end of 2021, like the highest sale by a living artist, like $91 million. But going into that, just being able to work with Pac and have the team around them that we were able to do something totally new.
Do you know Pac? Have you they communicate with Pac and stuff? Is that
so
that
on
person?
the calls with the Nifty team and then Pac's team? They were a proper rock star. They would use like a voice changer, and they would
I've
change
heard
the
that a
voice
couple times on
multiple
like X.
times on those calls. It was insane, absolutely insane. It was like holy, like immutable rock star, 100%. And it was an insane time when it launched and like went live. We were like, it was happening concurrent with Basel down in Miami, and it was
I remember that
shit working. And it was just like, wow, it's really working. And we were looking at the numbers, and it was like every second at the beginning of that drop, $150,000 in volume. Every second. It was just like, it was absolutely bonkers. So yeah, definitely an unforgettable drop.
Wow.
But like, all right, let's try to go through it. Working with Panther Cheetah, an Argentinian artist, she had an amazing release, a history of crypto art. It was just this portraits of hundreds of artists that have been around and influential to her and to like the greater scene. That was really special. Drops with Hackatal, several memorable ones. Their collaboration with Blondie, their collaboration with Sky Golpe were two that were just really fun to work on. Cody released a few different collections. One really memorable one was in the summer of 2021, in August, again, special August. It was the first IRL URL release that I worked on. And coming out of COVID, it was one of the first like in-person meetups that folks were part of. The IRL portion took place in Venice Beach in the Bright Moments Gallery when they were releasing Crypto Venetians. And before we had like our auction that we held there, the morning of, there was a Crypto Venetians meet. So Cody, myself, a few other folks went there. We minted our Crypto Venetians. And like the next day was when they were hacked and like the remaining Crypto Venetians were like stolen. It was like a whole thing. It was weird. It was very weird. It is a conspiracy theory. I think it was like inside job and they like made a documentary out of it.
Oh,
like,
snap.
What?
Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
But like it's a great project. And it just recently concluded and it was kind of beautiful. But at the time I was like, man, what the hell? Like, what are the chances? So Cody and myself, we were like the last cohort of minters to mint a Crypto Venetian before it was hacked. And yeah, that was really, really special. Pop Wonder, Stella Bell, Gabe Weiss, that with the most likes, Chud Packs. It's probably like way too many artists to keep listing, but yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, I remember back in that time, there was a lot of collabs with like EDM artists and stuff. There would be a lot of that kind of stuff. I don't know if you were in on that.
I was mainly focused on
even Eminem. There was even an Eminem drop on Nifty Gateway at that, right?
Yeah. There was a lot of experimentation on the music side. Yeah, especially coming out of COVID, people weren't able to tour, so everyone was just like, how do we make money? And like the big names were there, but an interesting outcome that there's an artist by the name of Young and Sick, and they were coming from the music world, but they were actually digital artists themselves, and like they had done like album art for Foster the People and stuff like that. And they were like, all right, let's do digital art. They were before like the M&Ms and everything like that dropped. They did like a couple $1 million on the release in the early 2021. They're like, holy crap, this was the answer that they were looking for, because they were like a musician behind the scenes, like not like a huge act. And when they weren't able to tour, like all their income dried up. But then NFTs were really their gateway to really even double down on their art and focus 100% on their art and not have to worry about like record deals and all that stuff. So it was a way for them and other artists too, to really free themselves from that side of things.
No doubt. That is a good story. I remember a lot of great stories like that during 2021. I was on Clubhouse and hanging out with all the artists and hearing all those stories and watching that stuff. Pop Wonder was on our show. He's a friend from back then. So that's good stuff.
Pop is amazing. Portland based. We've been able to link up. He opened up his new studio together with Wooden Cyclops before I popped over to Korea.
Oh, I love Wooden. Wooden Cyclops is incredible. Wooden Cyclops is incredible.
Yeah. No, 100%. Cool. When you come out to Portland, whenever you do, you got to link up.
I can't wait.
I used to live there 2 years ago for just 1 year, but it's a vibe. It's very walkable. I mean, besides all the homeless drug addicts and stuff, but all I love that there's so many little independent owned shops. That was my favorite part about living there, I'd say.
By homeless drug addicts, she means the D-Gods community. Sorry,
all the NFT collectors that are out in Portland.
Oh man, I'm just
kidding. Now this bear market.
What can you tell us about Starbucks Odyssey and how that went down? What you guys thought of it and why it kind of shut down?
Yeah, so that was a really cool experience. I was able to work on that too. So that was a multi-party collaboration, right? So it was Starbucks. They themselves have this team called Merkle. That's their infrastructure backend provider. I think what was it, Forum 3?
Forum 3, yeah, I know Bunchu very well. Also, he was on the show from Forum 3.
Forum 3 was there. They were advising on the community side. That's probably how I'd frame it. And then Nifty was there for the NFT infrastructure provider. We built out a white label marketplace for them, and then we helped them, create all their drops that they did. Yeah. So the stamp claims for the Odyssey members, as well as their paid drops. And as part of that, one of the cool things, I guess, was that we were able to convince them to do a burn for the pumpkin spice latte release that they did. So it was just all right, we got Starbucks to do a burn. They're crypto native, but I think, I don't know who mentioned this, but again, reorganization within Starbucks. They're a very quick and nimble company.
That's what it was for sure.
There's a handful of experiments that they had been running at the time that they were all right, time to wind down. Saw some success here, lessons learned. It was really interesting. From their end, one of the bigger takeaways was the way that they could leverage the digital community for in-person events. So I remember around the beginning of fall, they came up with this initiative where it was all right, there's 5,000 or so brick and mortar stores around the country. Let's see if we can get someone to each of those locations by the end of the year. And a day later, after they activated that, 99% of the stores have been hit up by the participants. And it was just whoa, that was unexpected. But from a dollars and cents perspective, not really moving the needle for tens of billions of dollars annual revenue company. It was not nothing. And it was cool to see the collectors be able to get some wins for some of those more limited stamps, especially early on. But it was a cool experiment from the white label solution provider, seeing all right, we can make this work with a big company. It's just they have a lot of other North Star metrics that are guiding what they're doing, and having them take the lessons learned and put that back.
I thought it was done really well by all sides. I thought everybody was running it really well. I thought, I was part of it. I think it was a shame that they canceled it. It's not really great. You can kind of call it a rug pull for the people that paid for the stuff when they thought it might continue, but it is what it is. It's an experiment. And
I mean, the assets live on, and it's honestly instead of creating more supply with more stamps and everything coming out like that, it's now officially capped at whatever the number of unique collections were and the number of unique stamps, and the collabs that they did with Micah Johnson and Vinny Hager. That's it. That's a wrap for at least that instantiation of it. So
no doubt.
Yeah. Again, the space is all about experimentation, right? And then being able to collaborate with crazy people. Who would have thought, I never would have thought, within a few years of getting to the space that would literally be able to work alongside someone like a Starbucks, you know what I mean? Yep. And to be able to take our infrastructure, which is pretty good, right? In terms of doing large volume and things like that, but then leveling it up for a Starbucks and making sure that it was robust enough for tens of thousands of folks to be able to claim at once
Yep.
and to support folks that have been signed up for it. Like, it was a cool learning experience for sure. For everyone involved, collectors involved.
I didn't realize that. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
What are, changing the topic a bit here, but what are some of your most like prized possession NFTs that you are like, oh, I'm holding these forever? Like maybe they just have more like sentimental value.
So like my background, Matt King Gazers, Gazer number 196. It is a collection that continues to just like blow my mind and the minds of other collectors. Like, we're currently on this like Blue Moon celebration. It's constantly evolving. It's never the same. If you miss it, like how it looks in any given second, like it's gone. It will never look like that again. It's one of those legendary pieces. Outside of that, I have a bunch of bike gans and reflections by Pindar von Arman, like 100% on-chain work that like no external dependencies. That dude is a madman. The intersection of crypto and AI and robotics. The art that he creates is insane. Huge fan of Max Osiris. I have a bunch of work by him. Sarah Zucker, the video alchemy that she creates using wither technology like old TVs and VHS machines and stuff like that. Her work that I have in my collection, absolutely love. Sky Golpe, Oshinachi, like the fact that someone in Africa can use Microsoft Word to create digital art that they sell to people around the world and like change their life. Like, that's insane. That art is incredibly important to me. That with most likes, he's defining a new like American absurdism as an art form, as an experience. I think he captures the absurdity of what it's like to be an American and live in America and be part of the American experience today. And
what's absurd? Everything's fine. What do you mean?
Fine. Yeah. No, I mean,
We're just the laughing stock of the whole earth,
Jenny goes to Australia once. All of a sudden, now we're the laughing stock. No, we are. I'm just kidding.
Well, we're the entertainment capital, so I mean, entertaining is you laugh at entertainment. So, anyways, sorry.
Yeah, no, there's so much baked into his ridiculous work. It's insane. Neurobricolage, a GAN artist, like, her work is just aesthetically so sublime. There's an artist called by the name of Travis Leroy Southworth. I found them because they were painting in pixels, but they were purposely making their digital art faint. Like, you could barely even see it. So like, pixels never fade, but he made faded art. And recently had an Ordinals release called The Revenant that was taking like the headlines out of like the New York Times and everything, like, that had called for the death of crypto and Bitcoin in particular, like thousands of times. And he used those inputs to create the outputs that were like, again, faded pixels that are now inscribed on the Bitcoin blockchain. Gary Cartledge, Gail Crego. There's this Brazilian artist that I've just fallen head over heels for it recently. He has two names, Cyber Mystic and then Marcelo Pinel. And he creates framed digital like movies, if you will. Like in Cinema 4D, I think, he creates these sets that are layers and layers and layers deep. He makes these handmade elements that he then like strategically places at different levels. And then he has these like these crazy rainbow colored, like trippy effects that he then records from different angles and has these elements moving in and out and plays with the depth. It's just like absolutely insane. I have no idea how he makes these as quick as he does. But yeah.
Wait, who was that? The last person you were talking about?
Cyber Mystic or Marcelo Pinel.
Is that their Twitter?
Yeah, like let me drop.
I need a visual of what you were saying there. I was like, okay, that sounds really cool.
I just dropped it in chat.
Oh, yeah, Cyber Mystic on Twitter. If you guys listen or want to look them up.
Crazy.
Yeah, when they unpack their process from time to time, and when you see the process, you're like, oh my god, because it looks crazy, like just the final work. But then when you see just the depth of like the stages that they set And then the color work and yeah, like they're filming these like mini movies that are usually GIFs or just looping MP4s. It's insane.
Wow, I'm gonna have to go down the rabbit hole of their Twitter after this. Okay, my last question, and then, we'll see if Michael has last questions, and then we'll get into our other segments. Okay, you might have to think about this, but what has been like the craziest experience you've had in the space, or maybe kind of like a surreal moment? And I'm sure you've had a lot of them because you've really been here a long time and you've done so much. But maybe something that you haven't, talked about yet that you feel like is just like, whenever you think back, you're like, wow, can't believe that happened.
For the Philly folks here, a surreal moment was jumping on a call with Sylvester Stallone and like talking about art and like realizing that he's actually a fine artist and yeah, like way more depth than I think most folks would give him credit for. Like his writing, I think some people know about, but when we were on the call, he was just like, yeah. Like before I wrote Rocky, I painted it. And he was taking out like the original paintings that inspired the characters in Rocky. And I'm like, holy shit, that is insane. So that was a surreal moment. Another surreal moment was, and this is like all because of Nifty, just these conversations pop up. But back in early 2021, Isaac Brock, I've been a big Modest Mouse fan forever. And through Young and Sick, they had mutual connections with Isaac Brock, and Isaac he was just like, what the F are NFTs? Let me figure out what this is. And since he's in Portland and I was like, I'm in Portland too, we were all able to meet up at his like studio / museum / like living workspace. And that was insane. And then even after that meeting, he hit me up later. He's like, yo, you want to hang out, get some beers? I'm like, yeah, dude. So like, it was like, all right, like literal rock stars, like as a kid, like my favorite group ever, being able to meet them. Those are like two standout moments. Yeah, but there's definitely a lot of those like crazy surreal moments that popped up along the way.
That's so awesome. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah. Sounds like a fun adventure. Are you a big Eagles fan being from Philly?
Dude, of course.
Good. Good. I was going to say.
He's like, good answer.
Yeah, what I'm saying,
we're stacked for it's going to be a good year, man. We're stacked for this year. Glowing reports coming out of training camp. No injuries yet. Knock on wood.
Knock on all the wood. Yeah,
I know. Yeah, no, we. I don't know if you kept track over the off season, but we brought in a lot of reinforcements.
Yeah, I saw some good pick acquisitions. So I'm football sports are fun. They're just really fun to watch, and especially if you're from Philly, it's just like you got that passion factor that like ratchets all the expectations up. It's really cool to support your hometown team and watch them, especially.
Let's go. Cool, man. Yeah, I'm going, taking my son to Tampa to see the Eagles play in September.
Oh, that's awesome. That's going to be really cool.
Very pumped. Yeah,
Love
this
Tampa.
is fun though. You, that's so cool. So that's crazy, man. Nifty Gateway all this time through everything. Cause I think there's been some like changes and layoffs and different things where you must be, you're like the Nate Chastain.
They got acquired.
The creative lead, the Nate Chastain of Nifty Gateway.
Well, minus the, the insider trading and going to jail part.
He's probably just a little better at it. He probably just keeps it clean.
You can see what I collect over there.
I'm joking. I'm not trying to say that. I'm not trying to say that.
Okay.
But I will be checking the chain.
Yeah, check the chain, folks. Hey, that's the beauty of blockchain. Just check the chain.
No. Okay.
Do you have any other questions?
Zach XBT does listen to us, though. I'm sorry. So
totally.
he might. Zach XBT does. Do I have any other questions? No, I think my Eagles one. You're kind of young, right? What era of the Eagles did you grow up? Who was your favorite player?
I Cunningham was my favorite as a kid.
All right, that's what's up. Yeah. So you're okay. I just turned 45. You look like you're a young buck. You look like you're like 35.
Yeah, mid-30s.
Mid-30s. Okay.
I like Deuce Staley was cool too back in the day.
Yeah, Deuce was incredible.
Honestly, the TO era of Philly, I love too. Like that was And then again, like Michael Vick, like bad things in the past, but like as a player, Jesus Christ, that was just like that was a special time too.
Yeah, it was wild. I was a season ticket holder for the TO era, all through those playoffs. So when we lost to Tampa, lost to Carolina, and then finally beat Atlanta, I was at all those games. I went to Super Bowl 52, which was one of my all-time favorite moments.
That's so cool. Yep.
You would sneak it away to talk about football. Unreal.
Whenever we have somebody from Philadelphia, we have to get into it a little bit.
It's a must.
Yeah.
Okay, so Michael, did you prepare some hot or not questions or what?
I have a couple in my head. I can spit them
Oh,
out.
you do.
I didn't really prepare, but I'm
that's
ready for VCon. I'm leaving tomorrow morning for VCon. I've been running around like crazy today. But yeah.
All right, how about this? I will do 3 and you do 3.
Okay.
I'll go first. All right, so hot or not, actually Rizzle is the first one to do this segment. I guess you listened to that episode. And we've done it for every interview since, although we haven't had too many since then. But yeah, basically just going to say some Web3 things and you can say whether you think it's hot or not. All right, Farcaster, hot or not?
I'd say hot. I think especially the energy from the builders over there is great. Maybe not so much for non-technical creatives, but use it every day. I think building out a on-chain social graph is the future. It's TBD if they'll be around for long term, but signs are promising. So definitely say hot.
How about Gary V and VCon?
I would say not, just because I don't have any exposure to that. Although I have heard good things, surprisingly, from the first VCon through now. So maybe I adjust that to just like a non-applicable answer. NA. I can't really.
No, you don't have to. You can say not. I hear you. Like it's definitely a mix. The first 2 VCons are awesome. This one I'm sure will be fun, but it's definitely like winding down. It's not very much about Web3. So there's kind of that side of it, and that's what people are saying.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like it's an interesting time in the market, especially like NFTs. So it'll be interesting to see like who all goes and what the overall takeaway is.
Yeah, this will actually come out after VCon, so that'll be interesting.
Oh yeah, that will. What I will say is there's very little to almost no demand for the tickets. The tickets are not selling. The tickets are selling for like $50 for a 3-day conference.
Yeah, well, you'll have to let us know how it is, Michael, because you're going.
Yeah.
Okay, hot or not? Twitter Spaces.
I hate Twitter Spaces. So definitely, like from the beginning, like early Clubhouse, there was a moment, and then it was like co-opted and became formulaic, and then like never moved the needle for like, especially releases. Everyone's like, oh, let's do a space before release. Never, in my experience, never moves the needle, and they're usually just. They're worse podcasts, in my personal opinion, because you can't edit anything. And then most people stick to like the same script. And yeah, definitely not for me.
I like the hot take.
Yep. All right. Hot or not? And I think I know your answer based on everything you collect, everything you talk about. But what's your take on like PFP NFTs? You think PFP culture is a thing? Think that's going to stick around?
I mean, digital beanie babies, right? So different strokes, different folks. Some people really, really, really like that part of collectible culture. Not for me though, for sure.
So you don't aspire to having a CryptoPunk. That is nothing. That's not your.
The only thing I actually cared about when it comes to CryptoPunks is that I had a CryptoPunk like associated with my wallet at one point, but that's it. Like other than that, It's like my main PFP is a Max Osiris 1 of 1. Like that, I love that a lot more. I think punks are cool, and I think the early community that they had is special and is obviously served as a model for everything that's happened since, collectible or art, when it comes to like digital Web3 community.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, not something that I need to have it and I must have it.
No doubt.
All right, my last hot or not question is hot or not? Known origin.
Oh, I mean, they're literally dead, so you can't say it on the wall. But the art there, there's some absolute, like, the history is on chain. You got to make sure that the images are all backed up and all that, and hopefully in the next couple of years or whatever, however long eBay said that they would support, like pinning and all that for what they have. Hopefully there's a better solution that preserves all the art that's minted there. Obviously as like a business, not hot, but the art that was minted on it, for sure.
You can be a politician.
Crypto politician.
Hot or not, meme coins like pump.fun and all of that.
It's interesting to watch, right? There's an element of like, all right, like can we use that for something more positive as opposed to just being like a hot potato ERC20? Is there, like that's where my mind goes. So it's not full, not hot. It's not something that like I'm going in head over heels for, but it's standing on the sidelines, like clocking it, seeing what's up, seeing if there's any lessons we can learn and like apply for something else. But probably more on the not hot side of things, if I'm being honest.
Hell yeah.
All right. Sweet. Done with that segment. Moving on to Gas Wars, which we, most of the questions do not have to do with NFTs. They just have to do with getting to know you a little bit better. Man. So, actually, Michael, you can go first this time. We have 5 rapid fire questions that we'll each ask.
You talked about the cuisine in Korea. What is your favorite food that you eat there?
So my favorite food is something called gopchang. So it's like a small intestine from cow. It's grilled. It's fantastic. I literally had it tonight. Like it's like 2:30 a.m. in Korea now, but my dinner time yesterday, that's what I had. It's the best.
Is it like fall apart or is it like chewy?
So like
Jenny's loving this.
When you grill the tripe, the casing itself gets nice and crispy, and then inside there's like the unctuous, like the gulp. I don't know what the English name is, but it's so tasty. And then you dip it in like this hot pepper infused soy sauce. Basically, it's so good. It goes really good with soju.
Awesome.
All right. What is something you really enjoy spending time doing?
Living. Like, all right. When I'm back in Portland, something I look forward to every day, like outside of like my daughter coming home from preschool and stuff like that, is going on a trail run in Forest Park. Like it's meditative. It's beautiful just to be like in a forest, like basically a rainforest that's like basically in the middle of this like really cool Pacific Northwest city. It's something I always look forward to every day when I'm back there, rain or shines. So yeah.
The hiking.
If anybody wants to know where to find Matthew on a day in Portland.
Oh, it's a labyrinth in there. Like I barely run into anyone when I'm on there. There's like I don't know how many miles of trails there. It's insane how big it is.
What's your favorite podcast to listen to, other than yours or this one, of course, because I know you listen religiously.
I did listen to this.
I know you did. You said that to Rizzle.
It's actually a twofer, and in crypto circles, I know and a lot of circles, everyone likes to shit on the New York Times, right, for their bias and their slant or whatever. That I think is like pretty apparent in the text form of what they create. But their podcasts, specifically the daily and the headlines, they're my daily listens. And really? you get to hear the reporters talk just like pretty neutrally, or like if there is a bias, like you can really pick it up quite easily. And it's a great way to get a high level, like really informed take of major points that are going on in any given day. And it's great. The in-depth thing, in-depth topics that they go into on the daily, great. Michael Barbaro is a great host. And then with the headlines, there's like 4 or 5 reporters that they bring in, and they give you like a really great succinct synopsis of everything. Yeah. And Tracy Mumford or whatever her name is that usually guides that is also amazing. So those are my go-to picks. But Acquired is also great.
Never checked this.
Deep diving into business and like old. Yeah, all that stuff. There's a lot. Podcasts are good. So you got to support the other podcasters.
Yeah, I love podcasts.
Yeah. What sport would you compete in if you were in the Olympics? In honor of the Olympics going on.
Oh, definitely track and field. Been a lifelong runner. Definitely don't have the speed at all, like anywhere close to it. But when I was younger, 400 was like my run, and the 800 was my run. 400 mainly, but yeah, a big fan of that. Also, like field events, discus, like huge fan. Love watching it.
Cool.
The Olympics have been pretty good outside. Go ahead, Jenny.
Oh, I was just gonna say I did track and field in high school, and then I did cross country as well. And yeah, I've always loved running too. Like I'm not like super fast or anything, but it's like there's something to running and the pattern of like breathing while you're running, and I don't know, it's just so like enjoyable and special. Especially if you're not running on concrete. If you're running on like dirt or grass, it's great.
Exactly. Preserve your legs. I tried to do cross country one year, stress fractures, just not built for it. Can't do that. So I keep all my distance like to a minimum these days.
Yeah.
And
I don't think I could do it. My brain is too, like, I think too much. I don't know. I get to think.
You'd be surprised. It's kind of, you have to like slowly warm up, work your way to running.
Even in yoga, if it's an hour class, like 45 minutes in, my brain's like, you can stop now. You can stop now. It keeps telling me. I'm like, no, keep going. It's like, you've done enough. You've done enough.
Are you still doing yoga every day?
Yeah, just about.
Nice.
The summer was tough because, with the kids off of school and us traveling a lot. But, I went the last 2 days. I went this morning. So, and I'm going to LA. I actually found a place near my hotel that has a week I'm sure everybody wants to hear this, but has a week for free. So
nice.
I just signed up for that free week and booked each day to go. So
there we go. Consistency.
Yeah, hell yeah. Okay. What's your favorite city you have traveled to?
Seoul. Yeah, Seoul is my favorite.
Is it? Okay.
Osaka's right up there too as like an amazing foodie city in Japan. But yeah,
I went to Kyoto. I didn't go to Osaka. I went to Kyoto.
Yeah, I purposely avoided Kyoto. I'm like, fuck that.
Really?
Like, I in my head, I'm like, it's just going to be boring historical stuff. I want to live. I want to stay in Osaka. Like, it's so big by itself. But
Osaka's more like Tokyo, right? And Kyoto's kind of the old school. There is the downtown Kyoto that has the big buildings. The funny thing is, I loved Kyoto. That was like my favorite spot. But I'm sure Osaka was amazing too. But in Kyoto, they have this train station, and it was like the nicest, biggest. I can't even describe. It was like a train station, but it was also like a mall that had everything like ever. And then it also had like like a million restaurants. There was one floor of it, the 10th floor, had like 20 different ramen spots from all around the country. Everyone was completely different. It was like, it's so crazy.
It's crazy. I love
it. It is crazy. It is crazy. Okay.
All right. What is the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Damn. I don't know, but probably something like has to just stay consistent. I don't know if anyone's ever really given like the advice that I was just like, oh shit, that like hit me in the feels and like impacted me. But I think lessons I've taken from folks that I admire is just be persistent and consistent. That goes a long way. Yeah.
So true.
Sorry, I lost my light here somehow, but I know. What's your favorite museum you've ever been to?
Museum of Crypto Art in the metaverse.
I was like, where is that?
In
the metaverse.
Yeah, shout out Untitled XYZ, Coborn and crew. No, but honestly, like Crypto Voxels, it's not itself a museum, but it is like this like living digital world where there's a lot of museums. Honestly, I have to say that has held a really, really special place in my heart for a long time because of how accessible it is and how like unique each of those digital museums or galleries or whatever you want to call it are. IRL museums, the old Barnes Foundation outside of Philly before they created whatever the monstrosity modern thing is on Art Road. That old, it was like a gallery, a salon style. How they presented art.
I visited that. Yep.
Yeah, like that was probably the best like in person like art.
Well, that was when it was that was where he collected it, where it was in its place.
Exactly.
And do you know that he said in his will that it would never be moved, and they broke his will?
Yeah. No, I was literally just reading about it, more of that on the feed today. It's great.
That is crazy.
We went a lot of Philly connections into this episode.
Michael always figures out a way to weave in Philly when someone's has lived there.
We had, what was her name? The doctor we had on that was like literally from the Oxford
Dr.
Circle.
Nicola
She was from my exact neighborhood, Oxford Circle. Like, it was amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was so excited.
It was amazing. We lived like we were from like a 5-minute walk from each other.
That's crazy.
I mean, honestly, my old co-founder from Cent, like he's from Downingtown. He went to Downingtown. I went to Great Valley High School. We're like adjacent school districts. Like we had no idea for a long time that we were like so close in origin. Anyway, happened. And then Rizzle too, being not too far away. Also like, oh, weird serendipity.
Okay.
Good people in Philly. Go ahead.
What is a book that changed your life?
The Autonomy and Tao of Koreans. There's an old Korean doctor named Lee Dong-sik, and he wrote this book, and it synthesized like Western psychotherapy with like Eastern thought, like Confucianism, Taoism, Buddhism, including like original texts from the latter in a way that just bridged the gap. And like outside of like learning the language back in the day, coming to Korea and Asia, I was really interested in like Eastern thought, and nothing that I had read up until reading this book, the Autonomy and Tao of Koreans, was able to convey anything of like Eastern thought and those philosophies and those long traditions of thinking. That book was just, changed me like always and forever.
Wait, so do your kids also go to Korea when you go as well?
Yeah, I just have one daughter, so we go back and forth.
That's cool. So does she she's learning Korean, I'm assuming?
Yeah, so she speaks Korean and English. She's almost 4, and she just goes back and forth. She's like a little linguistic sponge. It's crazy to watch.
That is so amazing. Oh my gosh. That is awesome.
That is amazing. I love it. I love travel, but especially bringing kids places. I've had my son with me all over the place. I think it's the best thing in the world for them. I think that's so cool.
Yeah.
What you're doing for your daughter. It's the best.
When I was younger, I was always jealous of like meeting folks from around the world. I'm like, got to give that to my kids. We traveled a lot when I was a kid, but like domestically, and domestically is like going to Delaware Beach or Jersey Shore.
Yeah, no, there's no perspective like traveling. It's the way to get a perspective for the globe. It's hard to if you're just staying home.
100%.
Yeah, cool. My final question, what's a career goal you have? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? What would you love to accomplish?
Would love to keep working with artists, giving more opportunities to creatives, helping to create something that, again, like non-technical folks can come in and earn their first crypto so that they can kind of become a part of this burgeoning ecosystem. That's the biggest hurdle for most folks. Like if they don't have crypto, it's hard for them to participate. So putting the builder hat on and doing something that helps bring in more folks to earn crypto and like change the trajectory of their lives would be a cool goal in the next 5 years.
Sweet. This has been fun. Yeah. Thank you, Matthew, for coming on and joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for chatting and all the questions. It's really cool. It's really fun to be on the other side.
Why did I go first and list?
Did you? No, you went first for Hot or Not, I thought. Did you not? I don't know.
That's okay. We did good. Yeah. You asked your final question. That's all good.
Wait, should I ask another question?
If you have a good one.
Gosh, you have a good one. Okay. All right, fine. I have a final question since Michael is making me ask one more. What advice would you give to your 18-year-old self if you could go back in time?
Buy all that Bitcoin you were looking at in 2015.
Yeah, like be okay with speculation. Speculation isn't like 100% bad. Yeah, probably that. Hold on to things a little bit longer, maybe sometimes. Yeah, nothing major, but most I would probably recommend just do the different shit that I ended up doing. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Okay. Well, now we officially end it, folks.
Bye-bye again.
Goodbye for a second round. Thank you so much, Matthew, for coming on. And by the way, you guys, if you want like a smarter version of our podcast, definitely check out theirs, the Matthew and Rizzle Show. They've also been doing this for so long, and it's about to be their, I guess, 5-year anniversary coming up, right?
Yeah, right.
5-year. Wow, geez, 2019. Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, thank you, Matt, and thank you all for listening to this episode of the NFT Catcher Podcast, and we will catch you in the next one. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFT Catcher Podcast. We hope you enjoyed today's episode and learned something new about the exciting world of NFTs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please take a moment to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you really love what you're hearing, please leave us a rating and review on your favorite platform. If you want to stay up to date with the latest news and insights from the NFT space, be sure to follow us on all the socials at NFTCatcherPod. You can follow Jennifer at Jennifer_pseudo and Michael at NFTicket. I'm your producer, Andy, and I'm at AJC254. Our theme song's by It's Just Los. We always appreciate your feedback and support, which helps us reach more people and bring you informative and engaging content about NFTs. We look forward to bringing you more great NFT content in future episodes. Thanks for listening. Peace.